It's back to the drawing board for Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana and his team. Budget 3.0 is now on the cards after the National Treasury reversed a 0.5 percentage point VAT increase. Our business reporter, Ntokozo Khumalo, has more.
The ANC and other parties have described the scrapping of a VAT hike as a win for the people of South Africa and not a single political party. But fellow Government of National Unity member, the DA, held a briefing of its own, declaring victory and attributing the move to it and the EFF's court case. Old Mutual Wealth's Isaac Odendaal says Treasury has its work cut out on how it plans to plug a 75 billion rand revenue deficit.
There were certain key areas where spending needed to be increased, particularly hiring teachers, hiring frontline staff in key service delivery departments. Also additional infrastructure investment, wanted to put more money into SARS to improve tax collection and so on.
Odendaal says it will be a tough balancing act if government spending is cut in the short term to plug gaps in the budgets.
If you go through government line by line, department by department, agency by agency, you will find areas where there's duplication, where mandates are not being fulfilled, where there's excess spending. You'll find that government owns a lot of properties that it earns no return on.
The South African Institute of Taxation's Ketumetse Sesana warns that while consumers will feel relief, they're likely to feel the pinch elsewhere.
Other adjustments that I would anticipate would happen if you look at the general fuel levy and the RAF levy, something that hasn't increased in the past 2 years. Treasury in the previous budget had indicated there's about 4 billion rand in revenue that was foregone as a result of not adjusting the RAF for the general fuel levy. Perhaps this is time for them to look at that.
Business owners are also likely to experience temporary problems due to the U-turn.
To say that it is terrible news all in all for businesses, yes, I would, because that's wasted expenditure. But in the long run, it might actually work out better for them if they just readjust and go back to the old systems.
Odendaal says things are not yet at the point of panic, as there are stopgap measures in place to ensure that government functions can continue for the first 4 months of the fiscal year. He's hoping that the new budget can be delivered in the next few weeks for the sake of confidence and stability.
Otherwise, what you really end up doing is you end up defaulting to last year's numbers, which would effectively be a cut, because remember that the budget kind of raises spending levels every year bit by bit in terms of in line with inflation. So if there were no budget, if parties could not agree on a budget at all, then by law we basically fall back on last year's numbers.
For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Ntokozo Khumalo in Johannesburg.